Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, beyond the White Mountains, stood a kingdom touched by magic. Towers rose proudly above snow-covered valleys and silent rivers. People believed peace lived in these walls forever. But destiny was already beginning its quiet work. Snow White's mother sat sewing by the window, her needle catching the winter light. 3 drops of her blood fell onto the pure white snow below. "I wish for a daughter as fair as snow, as red as blood, as black as ebony," she whispered. The castle seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for a miracle. A child's cry echoed through the sunlit chamber, a promise of beauty and kindness. The queen cradled her daughter, marveling at her tiny, perfect features. The courtiers bowed in awe, the air filled with warmth and hope. The kingdom felt a joy unlike any before. The queen lay silent, her breath now only a memory. The king's heart ached as he kissed her cold hand. The halls of the castle seemed dimmer, the air heavier. A new chapter of sorrow and change was quietly beginning. In a glittering hall, the king took another wife, proud and flawless. Beauty shone like a jewel, but her heart hid shadows. Courtiers whispered, sensing the cold that lingered beneath her smile. A subtle tension crept into the palace, unseen but real. Snow White danced through gardens, her laughter ringing like bells. Flowers bent toward her, birds flitted near, enchanted by her presence. Every step she took seemed to spread light and innocence. Yet, her beauty was about to awaken envy, where shadows waited. Snow White danced among blooming flowers, sunlight kissing her skin. Butterflies hovered, and the birds sang in playful harmony. Every step she took seemed to awaken the garden's magic. The world felt endless, bright, and full of promise. The queen's gaze fell upon the magical mirror, its surface gleaming. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all?" she demanded. A pulse of light answered her, revealing a truth she could not bear. Her envy began to twist her heart into something darker than night. The mirror glowed, showing Snow White's radiant face. The queen's green eyes narrowed, jealousy sparking like fire. Could not accept that beauty might surpass her own. And so, a plan of cunning and malice began to take shape. In the shadowed corridor, the queen whispered a deadly command. The huntsman listened, fear and guilt dancing across his face. He carried her orders like a weight he could not bear. Snow White's life now hung in the balance, fragile as crystal. The forest stretched endlessly, leaves whispering secrets to the wind. Snow White ran, her steps light, unaware of the danger behind her. The huntsman caught up, sword trembling in his hands, but mercy lingered in his eyes, a choice that would change everything. Snow White ran through twisted trees, her breath puffing in white clouds. Birds scattered, as if warning of the unseen peril. Branches snagged her hair, roots threatened to trip her feet. Every heartbeat carried her closer to a new, hidden destiny. A small cottage emerged like a dream from the forest shadows. Smoke curled from its chimney, and flowers lined the door. The air felt warmer here, safer, as if magic lingered in every corner. Snow White stepped forward, hope mingling with curiosity. 7 little beds stood neatly, sunlight painting soft stripes across the floor. Bowls and chairs hinted at tiny lives lived here with care. Snow White's eyes widened, wonder and caution mingling. Had found refuge, though she knew not whose hands made it. The 7 dwarfs trudged home, tools clinking, faces tired but lively. They paused, startled by the stranger in their cottage. Curiosity replaced surprise as they studied her gentle face. A quiet alliance, unspoken yet immediate, began to form. Snow White spoke softly, telling her story of fear and escape. The dwarfs listened, their eyes reflecting concern and warmth. In that little cottage, trust began to grow like a fragile flower. A bond formed between her innocence and their rugged hearts. Snow White moved gently through the cozy cottage, her hands steady and kind. Bowls and brooms shifted under her care as sunlight traced moving patterns. Outside, dwarfs labored in the mine, their laughter mixing with the wind. The cottage glowed softly, a haven alive with warmth and quiet magic. In her shadowed chamber, the queen's hands moved with precision. A corset, beautiful yet cruel, glimmered in candlelight. Every stitch carried her envy, her desire to destroy. Darkness seemed to gather around her as her plan unfurled. The corset tightened cruelly, and Snow White gasped for breath. The dwarfs rushed, hands moving with urgency and care. The sunlight through the windows cast shadows of fear and relief. In that moment, love and protection won over cruelty. Disguised as an old woman, the queen's hand extended the comb. Its teeth gleamed like a trap in the soft forest light. Snow White reached, unaware of the danger hidden in beauty. A heartbeat later, the dwarfs would act to save her again. With swift hands, the dwarfs removed the deadly comb. Snow White shivered, brushing black hair from her face. The room, bathed in golden light, breathed relief with every motion. In their care, she found both safety and belonging. The old woman's hand held a red apple, gleaming like a jewel. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Snow White reached for it. Magic and malice mingled in the vibrant, deadly fruit. A single bite would plunge her into enchanted slumber. Snow White's body fell softly, as if cradled by the floor itself. The poisoned apple lay beside her, brilliant and deadly. The cottage held its breath, shadows curling closer. The dwarfs' grief would be fierce, but hope was not yet gone. Crystal coffin gleamed atop a misty hill, the forest still and reverent. Dwarfs moved gently, their grief tempered by deep love. Every leaf, every ray of sunlight seemed to mourn with them. Snow White's slumber was deep, yet somehow full of promise. A prince rode through the forest, eyes wide with wonder and concern. Sunlight danced on his armor, horse hooves stirring leaves. He had heard of the sleeping maiden, and came to see her himself. The air shimmered with the promise of something extraordinary. He knelt beside the crystal coffin, taking in her serene beauty. Birds perched nearby, watching silently as if understanding the moment. Heart ached with reverence and longing. Magic hovered around them, ready to awaken destiny. The prince leaned forward, lips brushing hers with gentle intent. A soft glow radiated from Snow White's form. The forest seemed to sigh in wonder as magic worked. Eyes fluttered open, life returning like the first dawn. Snow White's brown eyes opened to sunlight and hope. The prince smiled, cape fluttering with the forest breeze. Every leaf and flower seemed to celebrate her return. First breath was freedom, her first smile a spark of joy. Snow White embraced each dwarf, their tiny hands holding her like treasures. Magical sunlight streamed through the trees, petals and leaves dancing in the breeze. The prince waited, cape fluttering, as butterflies circled their path. Every heartbeat whispered the promise of adventure and love ahead. The 7 dwarfs danced, hopped, and twirled with unrestrained joy. Forest rays of light pierced through trees, catching dust and magic. Every smile, every clap echoed the triumph of love and care. In this small clearing, happiness was tangible and alive. Hands clasped, Snow White and the prince faced the forest together. Butterflies flew around, sunlight glinting on their clothes. The wind carried petals and a sense of eternal promise. The world felt still, yet brimming with possibility. From a distant tower, the queen's rage boiled like stormy clouds. Cape whipped in wind, eyes blazing with fury. Lightning flashed, illuminating a figure defeated yet alive. Kingdom of Envy had failed, her darkness receding. Snow White and the prince rode along a sun-dappled forest path. Leaves swirled with the motion of hooves, petals floating in their wake. Paths stretched forward, golden and inviting. Every step carried them closer to love, light, and home. The castle rose before them, banners waving, fountains sparkling. Guards and courtiers moved in quiet excitement, doors opening wide. Sunlight reflected on polished stone and golden ornaments. A sense of wonder and belonging embraced them. Snow White and the prince stood at the altar, hands entwined. Stained glass filtered colored light across flowers and banners. Courtiers and dwarfs watched, smiles and applause rising softly. The air was rich with promise, joy, and magic fulfilled. Long tables gleamed with food, chandeliers swayed gently overhead. The dwarfs laughed, toasting cups clinking silverware. Snow White and the prince moved among guests, radiant and proud. The hall hummed with warmth, music, and laughter. The 7 dwarfs stepped into the garden, sunlight gleaming on their hats. Flowers swayed, birds flitted around, magic in every breeze. Snow White ran to greet them, joy spilling from every step. The castle seemed alive, with their laughter and energy. Snow White played and laughed with dwarf, flowers tossing petals. Butterflies circled, gentle wind lifting skirts and hair. Each moment felt fleeting yet eternal, captured in joy. Friendship, love, and magic blended seamlessly in the sunlight. Snow White and the prince stood on the castle balcony, holding hands. Sunset painted the sky in gold and rose, banners fluttering. Dwarfs waved below, magic sparkles drifting on the breeze. The kingdom, bathed in light, whispered a promise of forever.